At the age of 82, I thought I had experienced all that life had to offer, but there's one decision I made that continues to haunt me. I never imagined that moving into a nursing home would be a decision I'd regret. At the time, it seemed like the right choice. My family assured me that I'd receive all the care and comfort I needed, but reality turned out to be a far cry from what I had envisioned. Now, I want to share my journey with you because, if you're considering this option for yourself or a loved one, it's important to understand the full picture. Trust me, what I learned might surprise you, and I want to help you avoid making the same mistakes. Let's dive in. Nursing homes may seem like a safe option at first glance, offering assistance and care during a time when you or your loved ones may be physically or mentally unable to manage everyday tasks. However, moving into one comes with numerous challenges that are often overlooked or minimized by family members or healthcare providers. The importance of considering all aspects of this decision cannot be overstated. It's not only about comfort or safety, but about how your lifestyle, emotional well-being, and sense of autonomy can change. Throughout my experience, I've learned some valuable lessons that I wish someone had shared with me before I made this life-altering decision. I want to share these insights with you so you can make an informed choice for yourself or a loved one. Regret 1. Losing my independence. When I first moved into the nursing home, the hardest thing to come to terms with wasn't the small room, the rigid meal times, or the unfamiliar faces. It was realizing that I had lost control over my own life. Before moving in, I had routines, simple things like waking up when I wanted, deciding when to eat, and planning how to spend my day. I could go for a walk whenever I felt like it, cook meals in my own kitchen, or simply enjoy some quiet time reading a book in my favorite chair. But once I entered the nursing home, everything changed. I found myself living according to a schedule that wasn't mine. Meals were served at set times, whether I was hungry or not. Lights out happened at a specific hour, even if I wasn't ready to sleep. Going for a walk required permission, and I often had to wait for someone to be available to help me. Basic decisions, like what to eat or wear, began to feel like privileges rather than choices. This loss of autonomy isn't just about physical freedom, but about mental freedom as well. Human beings thrive on routine and decision-making. It's what gives us purpose. When you're in control of your life, even simple decisions like when to eat or what to wear can give you a sense of pride. In a nursing home, you lose that control, and it can have a profound effect on your mental health. Moreover, many people overlook how much of a psychological impact losing this independence can have. It leads to feelings of helplessness, frustration, and even depression. Feeling as though you no longer have a say in your own life can cause a person to feel less like themselves. And for many people, especially older adults, this loss of autonomy can be devastating. The key point to remember here is that independence is not just about physical capabilities. It's about mental and emotional well-being. It's a core part of human dignity. When considering a nursing home, ask yourself if you're ready to lose that freedom, as it's a shift that can affect all aspects of your life, and recovery from it isn't easy. Regret 2. Feeling forgotten. One of the most painful aspects of living in a nursing home is the sense of isolation. My family reassured me that they would visit frequently, and at first they did. My daughter came once a week, and my grandchildren visited on weekends. But as time passed, the visits became less frequent. My daughter switched to calling instead of visiting, and my grandchildren got busy with their lives. Holidays were especially tough. Everyone promised they would visit, but something always came up at the last minute. I found myself sitting alone in the common room, watching other residents stare at the door, hoping that someone would remember them. It wasn't that my family didn't love me. Life just moved on without me. When you're not physically present, it's easy for people to assume that you're fine, that you're adjusting well. But the truth is, the longer you stay in a nursing home, the easier it is for people to forget just how much you still need them. This experience isn't unique to me. Studies show that elderly individuals in nursing homes often experience feelings of abandonment, which can lead to loneliness and depression. The social isolation faced by people in nursing homes can be a direct result of the physical separation from family members who may not visit as often due to their busy schedules or the emotional strain of seeing a loved one in such a place. Many people underestimate how lonely a nursing home can be. The environment might be full of people, but it can feel empty when no one visits, or when the people who promise to stay involved in your life start to fade away. Feeling disconnected from the outside world can create a sense of invisibility, like you're just another face in the crowd. This is why emotional support from family and friends is critical in this phase of life, and yet it's one of the things that often diminishes over time. If you are considering this option for yourself or a loved one, it's important to consider how visits and connections will change over time. Being surrounded by people doesn't always equate to not being alone. Ask yourself, how will I stay emotionally supported once I'm isolated from the outside world? And can I accept the fact that even the best intentions sometimes don't translate into frequent visits? Regret 3. Losing my sense of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home, I expected to simply change my living space. What I didn't realize was that I was also about to lose my reason for living. At home, I had responsibilities, routines, and hobbies that gave me a sense of purpose. Watering my plants, making my morning coffee, tidying up my home. These little tasks helped me feel grounded. But in the nursing home, those activities were taken away. Meals were prepared for me, cleaning was done by someone else, and the plants that once gave me joy were no longer mine to care for. At first, I convinced myself that I would enjoy the break from chores and responsibilities. But after a few weeks, I realized something was missing. The days felt long, and I watched as other residents, people who were once vibrant and full of energy, spent their time sitting, staring, waiting for the hours to pass. This is a vital aspect of aging, our sense of purpose. Research shows that having a sense of purpose is not just good for mental health, it's also crucial for physical health. People who feel they have something to contribute or something to look forward to tend to live longer, healthier lives. This is why many elderly individuals who lose their sense of purpose can experience a decline in both physical and mental health. When people move into nursing homes, the loss of purpose can happen quickly, and often there aren't many opportunities to replace it. Without personal projects or daily goals, it's easy to fall into a routine of passive living, where the days blur into one another. It's important to find ways to maintain your interests, hobbies, or even develop new ones, as they can provide that sense of direction and fulfillment. If you're considering a nursing home for yourself or a loved one, consider what your sense of purpose is. Without that, it's easy to lose sight of what makes life worth living. It's not just about filling time, but about ensuring that every day has meaning. Regret 4. Declining health faster than expected. Before I moved into the nursing home, I was doing well. I wasn't running marathons, but I could take care of myself, go for walks, and cook my own meals. I had my routines, like stretching in the mornings and grocery shopping, which helped me stay active and healthy. But after moving in, things changed rapidly. At first, it seemed like I was just getting some rest. Meals were brought to me, and I no longer had to cook or clean. But I didn't realize that by doing less for myself, I was getting weaker. My legs felt stiffer, and soon, even getting up from a chair became a struggle. I wasn't the only one. Other residents who had once been independent started relying on wheelchairs or walkers. It was like the more help we received, the more we needed. The human body is a marvel of adaptation, but when we stop moving, we lose the ability to maintain our strength. Research has shown that muscle atrophy, the weakening of muscles, is accelerated when people stop using their muscles regularly. This phenomenon is particularly common in older adults who move into environments that do not require them to use their bodies as much. When everything is done for you, whether it's cooking, cleaning, or even walking, your body starts to lose its muscle mass, flexibility, and strength. This decline in health is not just about physical activity. It affects all aspects of a person's well-being. Studies suggest that those who remain more physically active throughout their lives experience fewer chronic illnesses and mental health issues, such as depression and anxiety. Physical activity stimulates the release of endorphins, the body's natural mood elevators. In a nursing home, where physical activity might be limited, it's crucial to find ways to stay active. If you're considering a nursing home for yourself or a loved one, think about how to maintain physical activity. Once you stop using your body, the process of regaining strength and mobility becomes much harder. Regret 5. Losing privacy and dignity. One thing I never fully understood before moving into the nursing home was just how much privacy I would lose. At home, I had my own space. I could close the door, sit in silence, or simply be alone when I needed to. But in the nursing home, privacy was a luxury. From the moment I arrived, I felt like I was always being watched. Staff were in and out, room checks were scheduled, and shared spaces meant I was rarely alone. Even simple tasks like getting dressed or using the bathroom often required assistance. I know they were just doing their job, but it's hard to accept help for things you've done independently your whole life. I remember struggling with the idea of needing permission to do things that were once second nature to me. I realized that no matter how much I tried to make my room feel like home, it would never truly be mine. I also faced issues with roommates, some of whom were loud, unclean, or had cognitive issues that made sleep difficult. Privacy and dignity are core aspects of every human being. Losing those can significantly affect one's mental health and sense of self-worth. The elderly are especially vulnerable to the effects of losing both. People who lose their privacy often feel like they're being treated like children, which can lead to feelings of humiliation or loss of control. In nursing homes, caregivers and staff provide essential services, but the trade-off is that your personal space and dignity may be compromised. This is particularly challenging for people who have spent their lives as independent individuals. Many individuals resist help because they don't want to feel like a burden. This loss of dignity isn't just about physical care, but also emotional respect. Regret 6. Realizing it's harder to leave than you think. When I first moved in, I thought it would be a temporary arrangement. I figured I could try it out, and if I didn't like it, I could always leave. But what I didn't realize was how hard it would be to leave once I was settled in. At first, it seemed simple. If I didn't like it, I could go back home. But once I was there, my house didn't feel the same anymore. My family had already started making changes, selling things they thought I wouldn't need, and even considering renting out the place. When I mentioned the idea of returning home, they hesitated. They questioned whether I'd be able to manage on my own. After months of living in a nursing home, I was no longer the person I had been before. My physical health had declined, and my mental state had shifted too. It wasn't just the physical changes that made me hesitate, it was also the emotional ones. I had become used to the rhythm of nursing home life. I was receiving daily care, meals were prepared for me, and all I had to do was follow the schedule. The idea of returning to my independent life, managing everything on my own, felt overwhelming. The longer you stay in a nursing home, the harder it becomes to adjust back to life outside. The routines become so ingrained that they start to feel like the only reality. You no longer feel confident in your ability to live alone, and you begin to question if you can handle all the responsibilities that come with it. Physical decline, too, plays a major role. Without staying active, the muscles and strength you once had begin to fade. And once you lose that, it's not easy to regain it. Financially, returning home might not even be an option. In many cases, the cost of nursing home care can drain a person's savings quickly. Once that happens, your home may be sold, and your previous life may no longer be there to return to. These are realities many don't consider when entering a nursing home. The thought of leaving might seem simple at first, but the truth is, the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to return to a life that feels familiar. When you enter a nursing home, you might believe it's just a temporary change, but the emotional and financial consequences can make it more difficult to reverse than you'd expect. Before making the decision, ask yourself, are you prepared for the possibility that leaving may not be as simple as you think? Once you settle in, the barriers to leaving, whether financial, physical, or emotional, can be much more complicated than anticipated. Final thoughts. Looking back, I don't regret growing older, but I do regret thinking that a nursing home was my only option. It wasn't the comfort and safety I expected. Instead, I found a world that slowly took away my independence, privacy, purpose, and dignity. Does this mean nursing homes are all bad? Not necessarily. Some people genuinely need the level of care they provide. But before you make this life-changing decision, think carefully about what you might be giving up. The decision to move into a nursing home isn't just about care, it's about your life, your dignity, and your sense of identity. I would have fought harder to stay in my own home, explored alternative options, and ensured that I truly needed to be in a nursing home before making such a permanent move. Today, there are so many more options for aging adults to receive help at home or in more independent living environments that don't require giving up everything that makes life feel meaningful. Many communities offer home health services, assisted living options, or adult daycare centers that allow seniors to retain their independence and privacy while still receiving the care they need. These alternatives often provide more flexibility and a greater sense of autonomy. It's also worth considering the power of technology. Many elderly individuals today are using home monitoring systems, video calls, and virtual check-ins to stay connected with their families and doctors, reducing the isolation that comes with nursing home life. These options can allow you to age in place while maintaining a sense of purpose and connection. If you're facing this decision, I encourage you to ask yourself, is this really the best option, or is it simply the most convenient? The truth is, once you move into a nursing home, your life changes permanently. It's important to think about whether that change is truly necessary, or if there's a way to hold on to the things that make your life your own. Even though nursing homes provide a necessary service for many, they are not the right choice for everyone. It's crucial to explore all your options and consider what kind of life you want in your later years. The quality of your life depends on the choices you make today. If you take one thing away from this, I hope it's that your independence, dignity, and sense of purpose are worth fighting for. Your routines, your comfort, and the small freedoms you take for granted, these are the things that make life meaningful, and in your later years, they should be preserved as much as possible. The choice is yours to make. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If it has helped you or made you think more deeply about the decision of whether to move into a nursing home, please comment below. Share your thoughts, or if you know someone who might benefit from hearing these lessons, feel free to pass it along. It's never too late to make the right decision for yourself or a loved one.